These could be just like normal-sized guys. Oh.
That's the world's most venomous fish.
Now who's ready for some CC magic? You got it then. I'm Steve, and you know what you're watching. This footage comes from a truck driver's dash cam. It was late at night. He was on his shift, driving like any other night. Everything seemed normal, except he's not alone in that cab. There's someone sitting in the passenger seat beside him, and he's no idea. The only reason he finds out is that his boss, monitoring the dash cam feed, spots the figure and calls him. He asks why he picked up a passenger, which is not allowed. The driver's confused. He insists he's all alone. So they reviewed the footage together, and that's when he sees it. Look closely. Pale face, eyes that almost seem to glow, long black hair, a white dress, just sitting there in the darkness, completely still right beside him. And the entire time he's driving like nothing is there. Now, we've seen cases like this before, drivers on empty roads at night reporting figures in their vehicles that should not be there. Truck drivers, taxi drivers, ordinary people. It always seems to happen when they're alone, but this one feels different. He was close enough to reach out and touch it, and felt nothing. No presence, no shift, nothing at all. And somehow that might be the most unsettling part. Now, what's actually going on right now? Because it feels like we're in the middle of an avalanche of sightings, and this might be one of the clearest yet. This footage was captured on May the 9th, 2026 by a man hiking in Syria. Midway through his trek, he looks up, and there it is, a flying saucer. No ambiguity, no stretching the imagination, a classic unmistakable disc moving across the sky in plain view. And to his credit, he keeps filming. He tracks it, holds the shot, and shares it, because in a moment like that, well, what else can you do? But here's what makes this one stand out. We've talked about before how objects tend to avoid being seen. They stay at the edge of visibility, they move behind clouds, they cloak, disappear, keep their distance. But this one does the opposite. It's fully visible. No effort to hide, just moving through the sky like it's nothing to fear, almost like it expects to be noticed. And then there's the location, Syria, a place already marked by years of conflict and instability. Is that just a coincidence, or is there something about where this was captured? Because whatever you think you're looking at, this is not easy to explain away. Now, probably because you watch this channel, you might have maybe read the books of Enoch or something similar and have learned all about giants and the Nephilim and the fallen angels and all of this sort of stuff. Well, if that's really to be believed, maybe these two guys are leftover Nephilim or relations thereof. Let's have a look. I personally think it's just very clever AI, but I mean, then again, it's difficult to see because of where the mountains are, exactly what side. These could be just like normal-sized guys. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, the animals around their feet don't look like they're tiny, tiny, tiny. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. That guy looks a bit like Andre the Giant. That's all I can say. Now, I was told this next one has like a walking tree or something like that. Let's take a look and see. I can't see any. Oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah, that's a bit bizarre. I mean, tell me something in the comments, because I'd be interested to see. You know when you see people and they're standing by the trees and they do this thing where they say, look, I can get this tree to touch my nose, then leaves come down and touch their nose and all this sort of stuff. How many of you guys think that trees, plants, and stuff actually have souls? Like proper souls, like the same kind of souls that we have. Like they're sentient beings. Because I always get like really weird, strange feelings whenever I put my arms around trees, whenever I touch trees. There's definitely something that happens. There's a vibration there of some sort. I don't know if you've ever done that and felt it, but I certainly have. So I'll be interested to know what you think about this. You know, this could just be like some really strong guy down there holding a tree and walking. I don't know.
So this person is standing by the ocean when they notice something off. Not a splash, not movement, just a small circular dip in the water, like something beneath the surface is pressing upward from below. Naturally, they zoom in, and that's when it becomes clear. Just under the surface is a pale, round shape. No sudden movement, no attempt to surface. It's not rising, not sinking, it's just sitting there, partially visible, with most of it hidden underneath. And the longer you look, the harder it is to understand what you're actually seeing. Is it a head, a body, something attached to something much larger deeper down? There's not enough detail to tell, and that's what makes it unsettling. It's not revealing itself, it's not disappearing either, it's just there, hovering beneath the surface like it's aware it's being watched. It could be something ordinary, an object, a marine animal from an angle we're not used to seeing. But there is something about the shape and the stillness that doesn't feel natural. Take a good look. What do you think is sitting under the water? A group of friends are having a sleepover when one of them suddenly panics. She says she hears something upstairs and runs to check on her friend Crystal. When she gets there, Crystal is standing by the window, completely still, facing away. At first, nothing seems off. Then Crystal turns around and everything changes. She looks too tall, her proportions are wrong, her hands and fingers are unusually large, and her face is sharp, angular, almost inhuman. She starts walking toward the person filming and the footage cuts. Now, there are already a lot of questions about this clip. Some people are calling it a mimic-type entity, something that copied Crystal but didn't quite get it right. And based on what we see, that theory does fit. But there is another issue. The person filming is extremely calm, almost too calm. Because most people would not stand there recording something like that. They would run. And that's why something gets staged or AI generated. At the same time, shock does not look the same for everyone. Some people freeze, some keep filming because their brain is not caught up yet. Either way, you're left with two explanations, and neither one fully sits right.
Crystal? Hey, what are you? Crystal, is that you? Oh my god.
Will you help me? Come here. Will you help me?
This one is very recent, May the 13th, 2026, literally days ago. A commercial airplane pilot was flying at around 7,000 meters above the clouds when he noticed something moving alongside him in the sky. He quickly reached for his camera and managed to capture it. What you're seeing is a saucer, clear, defined, unmistakable. Not a blur or a shape you have to interpret, but a structured object moving at altitude. And this is not just any witness. This is a trained commercial pilot, someone who knows exactly what belongs in controlled airspace and what does not. Above the cloud line at cruising altitude, there's very little room for confusion. And that's what makes this harder to dismiss than most sightings. Now, of course, the question of AI always comes up. Could it be generated? Is it possible? But the combination of clarity, timing, and the source makes this one difficult to simply brush off, because whatever this is, it's not behaving like anything that should be there. And the question remains the same. What exactly are we looking at? Now here's a question that deserves more attention than it usually gets. Across completely different cultures on every continent and across different time periods with no contact between them, one figure keeps appearing, a dwarf, a small humanoid creature. In the footage, a man visits a remote village and sits with the locals, and they explain it very matter-of-factly like they're describing something normal. They say these dwarves come into the forest when it gets dark and quiet. They move through the trees, they run, and according to them, they've even taken people before. Modern interpretation usually places all of this under mythology, folklore, ancient imagination trying to explain the unknown. But that's where things get interesting. When the same kind of story appears independently across Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas and remote island communities, it becomes harder to dismiss as coincidence. It raises a question people usually avoid asking. What if these accounts were not just fiction? What if they were describing something real, remembered differently across cultures over time? Because all of these traditions had to begin somewhere. And that's the part we're thinking about.
They say that there are like little people living in the jungle.
Yeah, like a dwarf.
Like dwarfs. Yeah. Is that here too?
Yeah. These are the ones.
That's them? Have you seen them before?
Yep.
You've seen them?
Yeah, they're representative of the dwarfs.
They look like people or what?
They look like people.
What do they do?
They kill people. We don't see them very often. But you go to the jungle and if it is very quiet, then you can see them running around.
Whatever, you've seen them too? Everyone sees them?
Yeah.
Just look at this thing. Look at it. This is one of those moments where the ocean reminds you it's operating on a completely different level from everything else on this planet. What you're looking at is a baby rainbow tripod fish, and yes, it's completely real. The tripod fish gets its name from how it stands on the ocean floor. It has 3 elongated fins, 2 from its tail and 1 from its underside, which it uses like stilts to prop itself above the seabed while it waits for food to drift by on the current. It just stands there on the bottom of the ocean in near total darkness waiting. In its juvenile stage, the colors it produces are striking, iridescent, shifting, almost like it's lit from within. It looks like something designed for fantasy film. But this is not design, it's not just a fish doing fish things in a place most of us will never see. And this is where it gets interesting, because this is exactly why I keep saying it. The most alien-looking things on this planet are not in the sky, they're already here in the deep ocean, completely unbothered. And somehow the ocean keeps proving it has more imagination than we do. Now, we've covered orb sightings on this channel before, but something is changing because these are no longer isolated cases, they're becoming more frequent. Security guards on a late-night shift were monitoring a property when they noticed an orb moving along the road on the site. As it moves, it begins releasing smaller orbs that break away and scatter, almost like it's shedding parts of itself. Already, that's strange enough, but then something else appears. A shape forms around the main orb, humanoid, like a figure walking with it, holding as it moves. Then the shape slowly dissolves, and it doesn't stop there. On a separate camera elsewhere on the property, another apparition appears, smaller, more like a child. The usual explanation would be a residual haunting, energy imprints replaying events like a loop. That could explain the humanoid figure. But it doesn't fully explain the orb behavior, because an orb releasing smaller orbs suggests something active, something behaving with intent. And that raises the real question. What exactly is happening here, and why are these sightings becoming so consistent across different locations? Nobody likes a photobomber, but this one belongs in a completely different category. This person was taking a selfie, a normal moment, nothing unusual, nothing out of place. Then they checked the photograph and something else was there. Look behind them, right in the background, a face, skeletal, sharp. Not human-sized, just staring straight into the camera like it knows exactly where the lens is. There's no content for this image, no reported activity at the location, no prior encounters, nothing. Just a standard selfie with something in it that should not be there, and the size is what makes it worse. It's small, which leaves only two possibilities. Either it's far away and still that defined, or it's actually that small. Neither explanation feels comfortable, so the question becomes simple. What exactly is that? And how many photos like this are sitting in people's phones right now, completely unnoticed?
Take a look at this.
Massive.
What? That's the world's most
Dumbass.
venomous fish. Take a look at this.
Massive.
What? That's the world's most venomous fish.
The world's most venomous fish. Let's just pick it up with our hands then, and why don't we pat it too? Ow! Ow! Ow!
What are you going through?
Dumbass.
Take a look at this.
Massive.
What? That's the world's most venomous fish.
This footage comes from what claims to be a documentary on how commercial makeup is made. In it, a woman who worked as a producer for a major cosmetics brand makes a disturbing claim. She says commercial makeup products are causing more cellular damage to women than tobacco, and that the reason comes down to what they're actually made from. According to her account, a significant portion of raw materials used in mass-produced cosmetics are waste-derived substances. Materials collected from gutters and drainage systems, then processed, refined, and turned into products like foundation, lipstick, and eyeshadow. Products that are then applied directly to the skin near the eyes and mouth every day. Now, the cosmetics industry is one of the least regulated manufacturing sectors in the country. In places like the United States, the FDA has limited authority to require pre-market safety testing for cosmetic ingredients, meaning companies are largely trusted to regulate themselves. And the ingredient lists on most products are long, technical, and difficult for the average consumer to fully understand. Now, we've already seen similar concerns in other industries covered in this series: food adulteration, long-term chemical preservation, quiet introduction of lab-derived materials into supply chains. If this pattern extends to cosmetics as well, then it fits a much larger system we've been tracking. The question remains the same. Who's actually protecting the consumer? And does that system work the way people assume it does?
The cosmetic industry is destroying women's cells. cells, cells. And I said to him, why don't you say something? He said, I can't.
This cosmetics issue is even bigger than the tobacco industry because we're talking about thousands of different chemicals.
The same chemicals being dumped and running through the rivers that are toxic are running through our blood.
This footage is said to come from Texas, and while it has been around for some time, it's only recently resurfaced in wider circulation. It was filmed at night in a barn by a resident who noticed something approaching and started recording. What the camera captures is difficult to ignore. Two tall, slender figures moving toward the barn. Based on reference points in the footage, they appear to be around 8 feet tall, long arms, elongated heads, thin frames that don't match human proportions. And for most viewers, the same comparisons come up immediately: gray, alien. Because that's exactly what these figures resemble. In shape, movement, and overall structure, it matches the archetypes seen in reported encounters and depictions for decades. Texas has a long history of UAP and close encounter reports, especially in rural areas where wide open land and low visibility make unusual sightings harder to dismiss. Barn and farm encounters also appear repeatedly in older case records. The clip has been in circulation long enough that the AI explanation is harder to apply in the usual way. At the time it's said to have been recorded, tools capable of producing something like this were not widely accessible, which brings it back to the same question. What exactly was walking toward that barn in the middle of the night? UFO disclosure has officially arrived. The Trump administration has released the first batch of declassified files containing documented military sightings, eyewitness accounts, and footage withheld from the public for years. One of the clips shows an object that appears to transform as it moves through the sky. It begins as an 8-pointed star-like shape, then shifts into an orb before accelerating away. And that transformation is what has everybody talking. We've covered orb sightings before, but an object changing form in official military footage is on a different level. It's not civilian video. This is declassified government material. But another part of the release is drawing attention. Reports suggest the Trump administration has been speaking with evangelical church leaders, preparing them for the possibility that what people call aliens may actually be interdimensional beings, not from another planet, but from another layer of reality entirely. The goal, according to these reports, is to frame disclosure in a way religious communities can process. This connects to earlier comments from J.D. Vance in the series, suggesting aliens could be demons, adding to a broader theological framing around what's being released. So when full disclosure arrives, the question is no longer just what they are. It becomes, what are we being told they are? Now, if you've ever had a muscle cramp, you know this footage is a full-body experience. You can see the muscles beneath the skin contracting and tightening in sections, moving under the surface that looks both fascinating and intensely painful. And it is painful. Muscle cramps happen when a muscle contracts involuntarily and cannot relax. Normally, the nervous system sends a signal for the muscle to contract, then another signal tells it to release. During a cramp, that release signal fails or the muscle doesn't respond properly, leaving the fibers locked in contraction. Several factors can trigger this. Dehydration is one of the most common since water is essential for the electrical signals that control muscle function. Electrolyte imbalances, especially low potassium, magnesium, or sodium, can disrupt the same process. Overexertion, poor circulation, and certain medications can also contribute. What you're seeing here is essentially a muscle stuck in a loop of contraction with no override. The body cannot break the cycle until it resolves on its own. In severe cases, this can last minutes and leave lingering soreness for days. It looks like something out of a horror film. But this is just biology failing in real time. Stay hydrated. Keep your electrolytes balanced. Stretch before exercising. Your muscles will thank you. The Michael Jackson alive theory has been circulating for over 15 years, and the release of a biographical film in 2026 has brought it back into discussion, along with a piece of footage that's once again drawing attention. This involves an ambulance that was reportedly used to transport Michael Jackson's body to the coroner. 61 days after his death, German broadcaster RTL released footage showing a man stepping out of the same van who bore a striking resemblance to Michael Jackson. The likeness was close enough that the network initially put the footage into public circulation. According to accounts tied to the story, the network was later asked to retract their interpretation and state that the footage had been faked. They complied and issued the correction. And that sequence is what continues to fuel debate. A major broadcaster released footage, then later reversing its position under request, is the detail that keeps this theory alive for many who follow it. It raises questions about pressure, influence, and how quickly narratives can be rewritten after publication. Michael Jackson was one of the most documented public figures of his time, constantly filmed, constantly observed, and intensely scrutinized. He was also highly skilled in controlling image and persona at a level few entertainers have ever matched. That combination is what makes theories like this persist even years later. Could the footage have been misinterpreted? Could RTL have corrected an honest mistake? Or is there more context that was never made public? And that's where the discussion always ends up. We've talked a lot on this channel about what's in our food and what's done to it before it reaches us, but this story is about what happens after it arrives at a restaurant, before it reaches your tray, and it's genuinely disturbing. A video went viral showing a McDonald's employee in Southbridge and an accomplice packaging an order. While preparing fries, one of them appears to dip them into her mouth, coat them in saliva, and place them in a customer's packaging while laughing. Police have since been notified and an investigation is underway. Now, before going further, the staged prank angle has to be mentioned. People do create shock content for attention, and this is exactly the kind of clip that spreads quickly online. Whether it's real or not, that possibility cannot be ignored. But if it's real, well, it raises an uncomfortable question. How often could something like this happen without a camera capturing it? There's no way to measure that, no way to confirm it either. What we can say is that most of the concerns we have covered this year around food have been systematic and institutional. Things like additives, preservation methods, and engineering ingredients. But this is different. This is the human factor. And sometimes that's the hardest variable to control. It's also why people keep coming back to the same conclusion. Cook your own food.
Girlfriend wants french fries today, right?
Dirty bitch.
Hold on. She wants french fries today, right?
We say it constantly on this channel and we'll keep saying it. Sometimes human beings are the most dangerous thing on this planet. And this case is one of those reminders. By now, many people have heard the case of Atina Grant, a young girl who was murdered in a case that has deeply shocked the public, and it's still under investigation. Now, new footage has surfaced from a neighbor's security camera that is adding more context to the timeline. In the clip, a FedEx driver, later identified in connection with the case, stops outside a residential home. He feeds the family dog, then goes to the back of his vehicle. As this happens, the father of the household comes outside and speaks with him. The driver has made deliveries to the area before and was familiar with the neighborhood. On this day, he states it's the wrong delivery, returns the package, and leaves. The interaction occurred just days around the time of the crime, which is why the footage is now being widely discussed. What stands out to many viewers is the sequence of small details: the stop, the dog being fed, the check of who comes outside, the familiarity with the area. Individually, they may seem routine. Together, they're being closely examined as part of a wider investigation. And this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable again, because it's a reminder that danger does not always look like danger at all. It can appear as something familiar, something trusted, something that blends into everyday life. And that's what makes these cases so hard to fully process. Take a look at these trail cam captures. Do you notice anything weird? Anything weird and unusual at all? No? Well, let's focus on the second image. There's a ghostly being standing on the right side of the man. It's faint, but if you pay attention, you should see it. Seen it now? Good. These images were captured on a trail cam just seconds apart. The man in the image never really noticed there was someone with him. In fact, it took looking at the image a few times to notice that there was someone or something in it other than himself. He uploaded the pic into paranormal groups asking if anyone had experienced anything similar. Different views, opinions, and experiences were shared, but one response that ran through was the fact that this was indeed a paranormal encounter. Some thought it was a ghost, whereas others thought it must be a spirit belonging to the forest. You've seen the image. What do you also think? Clip taken back in 2006, which has left many unsettled and questioning what they just witnessed. A man braving the woods at night found himself in an encounter that would be etched into his memory and now into the internet's collective consciousness. While walking through the dense, shadowy forest, he noticed something unusual, a pale figure crouched by some bushes nearby. Its ghostly appearance stood out against the dark surroundings, drawing the man's attention. Driven by a mix of curiosity and concern, he decided to investigate, pulling out his camera to capture what he assumed might be a stray animal or perhaps someone in need of help. But as he approached, things took a terrifying turn. The figure suddenly turned towards him, revealing its hollow, glowing eyes. It was bald and gaunt, with skin stretched tightly over its skeletal frame, so thin that the shoulder blades and ribs were clearly visible. Despite its almost human form, there was something deeply unsettling and inhuman about it, a wrongness that sent a chill down the man's spine. Before he could react, the creature lunged at him with alarming speed. The man stumbled back and in a panic dropped his camera, which captured only the briefest glimpse of the creature before the footage went dark. The encounter ended as quickly as it began, with the man fleeing. When the video was later recovered and shared, it sparked widespread debate and fear. Some viewers believed the man had encountered a supernatural being, possibly a skinwalker or wendigo. Others speculated it might have been a feral human, someone who'd lost their mind and humanity after years of isolation in the wild. Skeptics, of course, questioned the authenticity of the footage, suggesting it could have been an elaborate prank. But what do you think? We all know that gravity keeps us grounded on Earth, which is why if you ever saw a flying person, you'd be left with more questions than answers. But what in the world is this?
Мы, значит, такие гуляем, а тут ебать на проводе стул висит, блядь.
In this bizarre footage, we see something even stranger, a wooden chair floating in the sky. Yeah, you heard that right. This chair is not just floating, it's also rotating slowly beside an electric line. Now those power lines are pretty high up, so how on earth did the chair get up there? What makes this even more puzzling is that there are no visible ropes or wires holding it up. The person who captured this footage filmed it from the ground, pointing the camera upwards so it's clear that the chair is genuinely suspended in midair. And it's not part of some elaborate show or stunt. There's no one around, no crowd, nothing to suggest this is staged. It seems like the person filming was the only one who noticed this strange phenomenon. So what's really going on here? Could this be some sort of glitch in the Matrix? We'd love to hear your theories. Share your thoughts in the comments. A hunter recently reviewed his trail camera footage and spotted something unusual. In the image, a deer is calmly feeding with its head down, but above its rear end there's a peculiar object floating in the air. The object has an odd shape. Its color is intriguing, starting with a soft green hue at the top, which fades into an icy blue as it descends. It appears to have a slight glow, making it stand out in the dark. What could this be? Some speculate it could be a lens flare or light artifact caused by the camera's angle or lighting conditions. Others think it might be something more mysterious, perhaps a type of orb, which paranormal enthusiasts often associate with spirits or energy phenomena. Moving away from all that, we step back into the world of trail cams where something eerie has once again been captured. Take a look. What do you see when you look at this clip? Personally, I see a humanoid creature that may just not necessarily be human. This was captured somewhere in 2022 by a man who'd set up his trail camera deep in the woods to capture wildlife. While reviewing the clips, he came across this outlier. Now, at first, he thought it could be a human exploring the place, but this particular part of the woods where he had set up the trail cam was so remote he didn't expect any persons passing there. Let's just say someone did pass there. He had set up his trail cam in such a way that it wouldn't be apparent to anyone unless the person was involved in setting it up. This led to two conclusions. First, a human had coincidentally gone through the place and somehow come across the trail camera and allowed himself to get captured. The second being that this had to be some sort of paranormal being that was aware of what the man had done. After thinking through it and going over the many scenarios, he chose the paranormal option, which led it to being uploaded on our paranormal page. Looking at it, I'm tempted to side with him, but what do you guys think? Here we go with another viral video in the ongoing saga of strange rubbery foods.
I want to tag Frito-Lay or whoever makes this Lay's, whoever. But look at these when I open them up. I bit one, and this is rubber. They're rubber.
In this footage, a man shares his recent purchase from Walmart, a bag of Lay's chips. But when he opens the bag and feels the chips, something's not right. Instead of the familiar crispy texture, these chips feel oddly rubbery, almost like they're made of something other than potatoes. The bizarre texture has left many people concerned and puzzled. How could something as ordinary as a bag of chips end up feeling like rubber? Is this a manufacturing error, or could there be something more concerning going on with our food supply? This isn't the first time we've seen reports of rubber-like foods, but each new instance adds to the growing list of questions. What do you think could be causing this strange phenomenon? Have you ever experienced something similar with your food? Share your thoughts and the experiences in the comments.
Looks how they sound in this bag. They sound like chips in the bag, but these are rubber. I need answers.
From here, looks like a triangle.
It is a triangle with a red light in the middle.
Wow. Wow, that's a weird looking crap.
It is. The red light is right in the center of the triangle.
This intriguing footage was captured by a couple in Canada while out one evening. They noticed something unusual in the sky, a strange-looking craft slowly moving above them. What made this sighting even more peculiar was the craft's appearance. At its center, there was a red light blinking steadily as it moved through the sky. The couple couldn't quite make out what it was, but the craft's unusual shape and eerie glow of the light left them a little unsettled. What do you think? Could this be evidence of extraterrestrial activity, or is there a more mundane explanation for this mysterious craft?
Now this is where you need to zoom in.
There's something right beside that thing. Here's stuff moving.
I don't know how long this has been coming out of our speakers. I don't know what it's connected to.
Imagine this, a quiet night at home, and then out of nowhere, music starts playing from an unknown speaker installed outside. This was the eerie experience of a man who recently bought a house from the estate of its late owner. One night, the outdoor speaker on the corner of the property began playing a strange old-fashioned tune. The new owner was baffled, not just by the song, but also by the mystery of how the speaker was still functioning or where it was connected. He hadn't set it up, but no one else would seem to have access. It's tempting to conclude the possibility of a paranormal explanation, especially since the previous owner has passed away. Could it be their way of leaving behind a final jam session, or is there a more earthly explanation? Perhaps it's a timer or an overlooked device the previous owner set up and forgot to disable, or it could even be someone nearby controlling the speaker wirelessly. Either way, what do you think?
Jane's tablet is dead, so it shouldn't be doing anything.
I do not cook for my husband. I only cook for my children. I do not do his laundry. I do not help him pay any bills. His job is to provide for his family, so I am not financially contributing to any of the bills.
I've been crying all morning long. My husband told me that I needed to pack my stuff and get the out the house. I literally have nowhere to go.
In the first clip, the woman openly admits that she doesn't contribute to the household in ways traditionally associated with partnership, leaving her husband to take care of himself entirely despite being the provider. In the second clip, her tears reveal the aftermath. Her husband has reached his limit and asked her to leave. Relationships thrive on mutual effort, respect, and understanding. While every couple can define their own roles and responsibilities, it's essential to both partners to feel supported and valued. When one person feels like they're carrying the weight of the relationship alone, resentment can build, leading to cracks in the foundation. Both partners should openly discuss their needs and find ways to support each other, whether it's through shared chores, emotional connection, or other means of contribution. What do you think? Could this relationship have been saved with better communication and balance?
I've been crying all morning long. My husband told me that I needed to pack my stuff and get the out the house.
Over the years, a lot of footage has emerged claiming to capture alien encounters. Take a look at this one, for instance. This alien creature was spotted one night. The creature had huge dark eyes, a large head, and a thin neck. Its human-like shoulders were visible, but that was all that could be seen in the footage. The camera was also shaky, adding to the eerie and mysterious quality of the video. The owner of the footage firmly believed that this was a real-life gray alien. When you think about it, it fits the classic description of aliens, grays to be specific. They're often depicted with large heads, big dark eyes, and slender bodies. Given this was taken close to the alien, you can't help but wonder why it was so grainy and blurry. Either the aliens have something going on with their bodies affecting the cameras, or the one who uploaded this has something to hide. Maybe that's just the skeptic in me, but what do you guys think? I know some of you don't like to close the lid when you flush, but did you know doing so could help you live long? Don't believe me? Take a look at this. Now, this young lad decided to conduct an experiment to check for the presence of bacteria in the bathroom. He placed his petri dish down and timed it for 10 minutes. He repeated the experiment multiple times. First in the bathroom where there was no flush, then next in the bathroom where someone had used the WC and flushed, and finally one where the WC was cleaned and flushed. You would think the results from the cleaned and flushed bathroom would be best. It turns out there was no real difference, as they both had bacteria growing in them. Does that mean you have to go to the bathroom in a hazmat suit? Well, no. It turns out that just closing the lid before you flush fixes the problem. Yes, it's that simple. I know you're tempted to argue with me, but just close the lid and you'll be fine. You have to wonder, though, if the petri dish was not fine after the test, what about the phone?
It's been shown that if you have houseplants that have been in your life for even a few months, if you put EEGs on those and then you send the person who takes care of those out of the house, send them some distance away, the moment they come within 2,000 meters or 2 kilometers from the home, the plants all perk up. They can feel the person coming from 2 kilometers away.
Plants are living organisms, and while they don't experience emotions like animals or humans, there's growing evidence that they have some level of awareness and responsiveness to their environment. According to this fascinating claim, plants may even display a connection to their caretakers. This man suggests that when you nurture a plant in your home, it becomes so attuned to you that it can sense when you're nearby, even as far as 2 kilometers away. Some researchers and enthusiasts argue that plants respond to stimuli like touch, sound, and changes in their surroundings in a way that mimics sentience. If this idea holds, it sheds a whole new light on how we treat our green companions. Those of you neglecting your plants might want to rethink that. They're more like quiet, leafy pets.
The moment they come within 2,000 meters or 2 kilometers from the home, the plants all perk up. They can feel the person coming from 2 kilometers away.
It was completely pitch black. I thought, this is a nightmare. This is not happening.
Tiffany O'Brien experienced a truly bizarre and unsettling incident while traveling on an Air Canada flight. After falling asleep during the journey, she woke up to find herself completely alone on the plane, which had already landed and been parked for the night. None of the flight crew or staff had noticed her, leaving her locked inside the aircraft. In her panic, Tiffany texted a friend to explain what had happened. She managed to navigate the dark cabin and made her way to the cockpit, where she found a flashlight. Using it to signal for help, she eventually caught someone's attention and was safely escorted out of the plane. This oversight raised serious questions about airline procedures and passenger safety. Imagine the shock of waking up to such a scenario. What would you do in her situation?
I'm so scared that I'm going to touch something that's wrong, but I knew I had to do something, and I found the flashlight, and I was so happy. That was like the best moment.
A family recently bought a new home by a river. Soon after moving in, they began hearing eerie cries of a woman in the night. Each time they went to investigate, they found no one around. Curious and concerned, they decided to check the security camera located near the source of the noise. What they discovered was chilling. In the dead of night, the camera captured a ghostly figure in a robe walking toward the river. The spectral figure moved silently through the shadows, its form barely visible in the dim light. This haunting sight reminded the family of the legend of La Llorona, the weeping woman known in folklore for her sorrowful cries as she searches for lost children near bodies of water. Could this be the ghost of La Llorona, or perhaps another restless spirit haunting their new home? I guess we'll never know. A woman entered a room in her home and then saw a pair of clawed fingers and an oddly shaped head peeking over the shower curtain. Stunned and most definitely scared, she quickly pulled down the curtain to see what it was, but the creature was long gone. From the short glimpse we had of the creature, we can tell that it was very dark, making it hard to identify. It definitely does not look like something you would see in a biology textbook. It had an eerie, otherworldly quality that has left many people puzzled. So far, our paranormal enthusiasts haven't had much luck with identifying this mysterious creature and explaining how it managed to vanish in a thin air. This has left my team and me wondering if it could be a ghost, a cryptid, or something else entirely. It's hard to say, but you guys also saw the clip, so what do you think? This footage is a remarkable glimpse into the inner workings of the human immune system. It shows the process of a T-cell targeting and destroying a cancer cell. In the video, the T-cell, unidentifiable by its yellow pulsing appearance, engages with the larger purple cancer cell. With precision, the T-cell strikes the cancer cell multiple times, delivering lethal signals. Over time, you can see the cancer cell shrink and ultimately die, demonstrating the T-cell's effectiveness in neutralizing threats. This interaction is a cornerstone of immunotherapy research, where scientists aim to harness and amplify the power of T-cells to fight cancer more effectively. It's inspiring to witness how the body's own mechanisms can combat such complex diseases. Wouldn't you agree? Dolphins are undeniably intelligent creatures, and their remarkable cognitive abilities have fascinated scientists for years. What's even more intriguing is the similarity between developing dolphin embryos and human embryos. At the earliest stages of development, dolphin embryos bear a striking resemblance to human embryos, with similar structures before their features diverge. As the dolphin embryos grow, it gradually takes on its distinct aquatic form, developing fins and other adaptations for life in water, while human embryos continue along the path that defies terrestrial mammals. It's fascinating to consider that such a similarity could point to a deeper biological link, potentially explaining why dolphins exhibit traits like problem-solving, social bonding, and even playfulness, which are often associated with human intelligence. Truly fascinating. When most people come across creatures like skinwalkers or other cryptids, their first instinct is to run. But in this rather shocking encounter, one man decided to do the exact opposite.
I know he's right there.
It all began when he was suddenly awakened in the middle of the night by a strange noise coming from outside. Instead of ignoring it, he grabbed his phone and stepped outside to investigate, a decision that would lead him to a truly unsettling discovery. The eerie noise drew him towards a massive tree in his yard. As he cautiously approached, his phone's camera captured something perched at the very top of the tree. It was a pale, ghastly head with glowing eyes, staring down at him from the darkness. The creature seemed to be watching him intently, its eyes glowing ominously against the night sky. The sheer size of the tree and the height at which the creature was perched made the sight all the more terrifying. But what's truly remarkable is that the man didn't turn and flee. He stood his ground, documenting the encounter. Now, if I were in his shoes, I wouldn't even have stepped outside after hearing strange noises, let alone ventured close to that tree. But you have to admit, this guy has nerves of steel. What could this creature have been?
I know he's right there.
Can somebody please explain this to me? How does the mirror know what the heck I'm doing behind it? Like, there's no way it could see me wiggling my finger through it. You know, let's go bigger. There's no way. Oh, you're kidding, bigger.
This man was completely shocked by what he discovered. He held a piece of paper up to a mirror, pressing it against the surface with his fingers. Now, as he wiggled his fingers behind the paper, they were hidden from view, at least that's what you'd expect, but when he looked at the reflection from the side, something strange happened. The mirror showed his fingers wiggling even though they were completely covered by the paper. Intrigued, he tried the experiment again, this time using a larger object to block his fingers, and yet the result was the same. The reflection still showed his fingers moving, as if the mirror was somehow seeing through the object. His reaction was pure disbelief. He repeated the process multiple times, each time more shocked than the last. The mirror's reflection seemed to defy the laws of physics, showing something that should have been impossible. What could be causing this strange phenomenon?
Oh, you're kidding, bigger. Right in the middle. I give up. I give up. I can't wrap my brain around it. I'm done.
This eerie moment happened at a wake when a family member stood over the glass-covered casket of the deceased. The footage shows the woman in the casket with her eyes wide open, a haunting sight that caught everyone off guard. Then someone leaned in to take a picture of the deceased. As their hand moved away, the woman's eyes appeared to shut completely. The shift is undeniable, from open eyes to closed in an instant. Could this be real? Some believe it's possible that the angle of the glass or lighting caused an optical illusion, making the eyes seem open or shut depending on how the light hit them. Others think it could be an intentional or unintentional use of a filter, especially if the footage was captured on a smartphone. Modern devices often have AI-enhanced features that can adjust faces even in strange and unintended ways. What do you think? Have you ever seen how a river freezes up in the winter? This footage shows just how mesmerizing the process can be. At first, the surface of the river looks all sloshy, like a mixture of water and chunks of ice floating around. As temperatures drop further, the process continues. The slush thickens and begins to bind, creating a delicate interlocking pattern that spreads across the surface. Eventually, the entire river hardens into a seamless sheet of ice, its once lively ripples stilled under winter's icy grip. This phenomenon is a fascinating interplay of physics and nature. The freezing begins as the water loses heat to the cold air above. Moving water resists freezing more than still water, which is why rivers often freeze from the edges inward. A man was walking in the woods at night when he noticed something unsettling, a figure crouched by a tree, watching him. Instinctively, he began to film, and what he captured is truly disturbing. As the camera focuses, a woman in a short white robe slowly stands up, her body trembling uncontrollably. Then, in a series of unsettling sideways steps, she begins to move towards him. Her legs are crooked, adding to the eerie, unnatural way she moves. After a few short steps, she suddenly launches herself towards him with terrifying speed. Let's watch that again and take a closer look at her appearance. This figure doesn't seem human. She has no eyes, just two dark, empty holes where they should be. Her long black hair is tied into two pigtails on either side of her head, adding to her ghostly appearance. Her mouth is wide open, but what's truly disturbing is that her mouth isn't just on her face. It extends unnaturally to the side of her head, as if her very anatomy is twisted and wrong. This sight is beyond unsettling. It's as if she's something from a nightmare, something that defies the normal rules of human appearance. Whatever it is, it's clear that it's not human. This is exactly why you should think twice before venturing into the woods after dark. Just a few months ago, on June the 26th, a woman decided to take a hike in the woods of Ohio after sundown. What started as a peaceful walk quickly turned into something straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah. Hi. Hi. Thank you. I can't believe it. Please, I'm leaving.
As she made her way deeper into the forest, an uneasy feeling crept over her. You know, that gut feeling you get when something's just not right. She couldn't shake it, so she pulled out her phone and began filming her surroundings. That's when she noticed it, something lurking behind a nearby tree. At first, it was just a faint glow, almost imperceptible. But as she focused the camera, the glowing eyes became clear. They were attached to a massive dark figure that blended so well with the night that you could barely make out its outline. But it was there, watching her. Understandably shaken, the woman decided it was time to leave. But as she hurried out of the woods and into a clearing, she realized that whatever this thing was, it wasn't done with her. The creature followed her out of the woods, and now under the open sky, she could see it more clearly. It was enormous, towering over the landscape, and those glowing eyes seemed almost unnatural. Some, like Aaron, are convinced that what she encountered was a Bigfoot, a legendary creature that's been part of folklore for generations. But others, like Julius, are more skeptical, dismissing the footage as nothing more than a hoax designed to scare people. But what do you also think?
Hi. Thank you. I can't believe it. Please, I'm leaving.
I was one of those kids that said math was stupid.
His passion for it came unexpectedly, brutally even, after a mugging 8 years ago in Tacoma.
Allow me to introduce you to a truly fascinating individual named Jason Paget. Jason's life took an extraordinary turn after a traumatic incident. He was severely beaten and left with a serious concussion. But when he woke up the next day, something remarkable had happened.
Suddenly, I'm able to basically process more information geometrically, whereas before I couldn't. Before this, I could not draw anything. In fact, it was a joke in our family about Pictionary, how I was the worst at Pictionary.
He had gained an extraordinary gift. Jason found himself able to visualize complex mathematical concepts and patterns, something he'd never been able to do before. This condition is known as Savant syndrome, a rare and enigmatic phenomenon in which individuals develop exceptional abilities, often in art, mathematics, or memory, following brain trauma or other neurological changes. What's even more astounding is how rare this condition is, with only about 50 documented cases worldwide. Jason's newfound talent has allowed him to create intricate, mathematically inspired drawings and explore the mysteries of the universe in ways he never imagined. Jason must be lucky. Not everyone takes a blow to the head and comes back smart.
I was one of those kids that said math was stupid.
His passion for it came unexpectedly, brutally even, after a mugging 8 years ago in Tacoma.
Anyone who has been an avid follower of this channel knows how much we talk about the Appalachian Mountains. It's therefore no surprise that we were alerted when this was uploaded online. Listen.
What the f***? Get me out of here.
Did you hear that? Maybe it's just me and the city life I'm used to, but that definitely does not sound normal. It sounds like a large beast, but what kind? Nocturnal animals I know sound like that. Many shared this sentiment, which led to the conclusion that it might be Bigfoot. While I want us to run with that, I also realize that it could be me and my team being biased as Bigfoot enthusiasts. You heard the audio and watched the clip as well. What do you think we're dealing with here?
What the f***? Get me out of here.
Have you ever had that magical moment that just seems so out of this world that you probably never forget? Well, take a look at this. A paddleboarder was out on the serene waters of Argentine Patagonia with a drone above filming everything below, when out of nowhere, a southern right whale swam over to a paddleboard. Just look at that massive whale gently swimming closer to the board. It used its fin to gently nudge the board as if to say, well, hello there. The sheer size and grace of the whale juxtaposed against the paddleboarder's tiny presence create a truly awe-inspiring scene. The woman on the board seemed completely entranced by this gentle giant, making it a moment she would never likely forget. What would have been your reaction if you encountered such a magnificent creature up close? Let us know in the comments section. Not everyone believes in ghosts, but there are clips that shake even the staunchest skeptics, and our next capture is one of those. Some daycare workers at a school stationed in the basement said the children would always complain about seeing a scary man in the classroom. One day, a teacher decided to leave a camera on in the class after school hours, and guess what they discovered? First, an object moved across the floor by itself, then one of the children's toys began swaying on the ground with no one around. Suddenly, a toy car came rolling by, and a bucket of Legos that had been left in the middle of the table slid off and scattered on the ground. It seems the kids were right. Someone or something was in the classroom. But what kind of entity could it be? No one knows for sure. Members of the paranormal community suggest that it could perhaps be the spirit of an old resident of the basement before it became a school. I know we're trying to solve this mystery, but I have a question. Why turn a basement into a school? What do you do when your trail cam captures something like this? Personally, I may never go back for it. This was captured by a trail cam that had been set up across a lake by someone who wanted to observe the animals that frequent it. While going through the clips, he came across this image, and naturally it upset and spooked him. In the image, we see what looks like two entities hovering or floating. It's almost like a scene from a horror movie, only this time it's real life and quite possibly dangerous. Paranormal enthusiasts have looked at this image with a lot of excitement, and some think that the individuals in the clip could be spirits of the forest. As much as I love to think myself an expert on the paranormal, even I don't have an answer to this. The good news, however, is you've seen the clip, so what do you think? While you think of the best response, take a look at this trail cam capture and tell me what you see. Hard to do, right? Well, the individual whose trail cam captured this believes he might have captured a spiritual entity. He's, however, unsure which it is. I must confess that I understand his sentiments, but despite looking at this image critically several times, I'm unable to make it out. You guys have seen the capture. What do you think we're dealing with here? This was taken by someone who went fishing. They were on one side of the river when they spotted something walking among the trees on the opposite bank. As you can see, it checks all the boxes for a Bigfoot, the tall, hairy figure with broad shoulders and the distinct gait. The image certainly stirs the imagination and adds to the ongoing mystery and debate about the existence of Bigfoot. Could this be the evidence enthusiasts have been waiting for, or is it another case of mistaken identity or clever trickery? Usually when you think of worms, you imagine slimy, disgusting creatures crawling about in the earth. However, not all worms are unappealing. Some are actually edible and even considered a delicacy. One such worm is the shipworm. These silky worms live in sunken wood, using the hard shells to bore holes into it. They thrive in water and cannot survive otherwise. People often go to the water side to harvest them from the wood. Despite their harmless appearance, shipworms pose a significant problem for many ships and boats. They burrow into the wood, causing extensive damage and often necessitating the use of metal reinforcements to protect against these destructive beasts. Given that these creatures are now being farmed and are increasingly considered viable food sources globally, would you be willing to give them a try? And for those of you who have already ventured into tasting them, could you share your experience? We're really curious to know what they taste like. This eerie tale begins with a woman sitting in her room one quiet night when something catches her eye. She looks over at a glass door and freezes. There, pressed against the glass, are faces, distinct outlines of eyes, noses, and mouths staring back at her. The haunting sight chills her to her core. At first glance, it could be dismissed as an optical illusion, but then again, with all the craziness these days, can we ever truly be too careful? At first glance, this really does give off eerie vibes. It looks like a mysterious figure in a robe lurking ominously in a field. Pausing the video at just the right moment only amplifies that unsettling feeling as your mind jumps to conclusions about what or who it could be. But at a second glance, the creepy stalker turns out to be a horse wearing a raincoat, standing innocently in the field. The shape and folds of the raincoat combined with the perspective and lighting make for a perfect optical illusion that messes with your perception. It's funny how our brains are wired to make sense of the unfamiliar by imagining the most dramatic possibilities first. When you decide to go camping, you have to be ready for anything that might come your way, especially when you're out in the wild where the unknown lurks.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that, man?
A man experienced this firsthand during a solo camping trip in the woods. In the dead of night, he woke up with the urge to relieve himself. As he stepped out of his tent, something caught his eye just a few meters away, partially hidden behind some bushes. There, in the darkness, he saw it, a pair of glowing eyes staring right back at him. But that wasn't all. As he focused, he noticed a shadowy arm emerge from the bushes. The creature's gaze locked onto the man who was frozen in fear, his camera capturing the unsettling encounter. The creature was shrouded in the shadows of the night, making it impossible to determine what it was. Was it just a nocturnal animal, its eyes reflecting the light? Or was it something more mysterious, perhaps a cryptid, one of those legendary creatures that people whisper about but rarely see?
What the hell? Bro, it's got hands!
Let's dive into this unsettling footage taken by Daniel O'Neill, a YouTuber based in the UK who often shares videos of his solo camping adventures. In this particular video, something eerie unfolds, leaving viewers with more questions than answers.
Someone's been here. There's a lot of rubbish around here. Yeah, look at the state of this.
It started off as a typical day for Daniel. After wandering through the woods, he found a spot to set up camp for the night. He settled in, brewing some coffee and waiting for his noodles to cook. Everything seemed normal until the unsettling moment occurred. Did you hear that? The sound of steady footsteps echoed through the trees. Daniel, puzzled, looked around but saw no one. Concerned but trying to stay calm, he called out, "Hello?" And just like that, the footsteps stopped. It was as if someone or something was watching him and didn't want to be seen. Thinking it might have been his imagination, Daniel returned to his meal, but the sound started again only to stop abruptly once more. As day turned into night, the unease grew. The footsteps returned, this time louder and more deliberate. At this point, fear took over. Daniel decided he wasn't going to risk spending the night there. He quickly packed up his gear and moved to another spot, hoping to find some safety. This situation is beyond chilling. Imagine being alone in the woods, hearing footsteps that shouldn't be there, knowing you're miles away from anyone else. It's enough to make everyone's blood run cold. What or who was out there? If it was a person, they were definitely stalking him, and that's a terrifying thought. But what if it wasn't a person? Could it have been something else, something unexplainable lurking in the shadows?
I'm going to be honest. I can't stay here now. I'm going to be a wimp. I don't care if people call me a wimp in the comments, but I can't stay here.
This is allegedly Korea, and a peculiar and emotional phenomenon has drawn this long line of people to a well, said to have the power to reveal loved ones who have passed on. The scene is hauntingly poignant. Individuals take turns peering into the well, their expressions ranging from awe to sorrow. One woman, visibly moved, crouches beside the well crying, presumably after witnessing a vision of a loved one. This raises a fascinating question. Is the well genuinely supernatural, or is there an extraordinary case of the mind's power to create vivid illusions? It's a well-documented thing that belief and suggestion can strongly influence perception. In deeply emotional states, the brain may project images or sensations that align with what we hope or expect to see, particularly in a settling steeped in mystery and collective belief. On the other hand, countless cultures have their own versions of portals to the spiritual realm, rituals, objects, or places believed to connect the living with the dead. Could this be a gateway to something beyond our understanding, or is it a manifestation of the human's need to reconnect, amplified by shared belief?
What is that?
It's definitely following us.
What is that?
It's the same thing.
Two adventurous friends decided to explore an abandoned building in search of ghosts. As they moved through the property, they felt the unsettling sensation of being watched. Turning their cameras towards a wooden structure nearby, they spotted a miniature humanoid figure, its head peeked cautiously from behind the wooden frame, observing them. The small figure's proportions of movements were odd, almost otherworldly. Was it a curious alien, a mischievous spirit, or perhaps something from folklore like a duende or imp? While some argue it's an elaborate hoax, the details in the sighting make it a compelling mystery. What do you think?
What is that?
It's definitely following us.
What is that?
It's the same thing.
Definitely looks blue.
What in the world, though? Like, that's like vibrant blue. I'm tripping.
When we think of shadows, we usually imagine them as dark, almost black reflections of objects blocking the light. So imagine the confusion and surprise when a woman stumbled upon something completely out of the ordinary. Blue shadows. Yeah, blue shadows. It all happened while she was in the woods. Perhaps she was out for a walk, enjoying the tranquility of nature, when she came across a cluster of twigs lying on the ground. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual about them. The twigs were just that, ordinary, brown, and brittle, scattered across the ground. But then something caught her eye that made her do a double take. The shadows cast by these twigs weren't the typical dark hues we're accustomed to. Instead, they were a vibrant, unmistakable blue. Now, it's not that twigs themselves were blue. No, they were the usual color. There was nothing around that could explain this bizarre phenomenon. No blue light source, no reflective surface, nothing. Just these twigs and their strikingly blue shadow stood out against the ground. How could this be possible? What could cause a shadow to take on such an unexpected hue? I was getting ready to share this paranormal theory when Julia stepped in. It turned out this was taken during Blue Hour. For those unfamiliar with it, like I was, it refers to a period of twilight in the morning or evening when the sun is just below the horizon, creating a soft, diffuse light that gives everything a bluish tint. During this time, the sky takes on a deep blue hue, and because the sun isn't directly visible, the light is scattered more in the atmosphere, emphasizing shorter wavelengths like blue. Shadows during the blue hour appear blue because they're primarily lit by the ambient sky rather than direct sunlight. So yeah, nothing paranormal here, just a natural phenomenon.
Definitely looks blue.
What in the world, though? Like, that's like vibrant blue. I'm tripping.
Believe me when I say there are a lot of strange things out there that we don't fully understand, and some inventions can be downright disturbing. Recently, my team and I came across something that fits that description perfectly: the EATR robot. EATR, which stands for Energetically Autonomous Tactical Robot, is designed with a unique and unsettling ability. It can refuel itself using biological waste. This means that, in theory, the robot could use anything organic for fuel, including human corpses. The idea behind EATR was to create a machine that could operate independently in hostile environments without needing a constant supply of traditional fuel. But the implications of a robot that can consume organic material for energy? While the creators have assured the public that the robot is designed to focus on plant-based material, the very concept of a machine that could theoretically consume any biological matter, including humans, is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. What do you think about this invention? Does it seem like a groundbreaking step in technology, or does it cross a line that should not be crossed? A man was working a late-night shift at a field site in his truck. I'm not exactly sure what he was there to do. Maybe dig, maybe inspect something, but just as he was about to start working, he heard something strange. It sounded like a muffled voice calling out, "Help." He was alone, surrounded by dense woods, and the sound was close. So he grabbed his phone and flashlight and started recording, but no matter where he looked, there was no sign of a person. Terrified, he rushed back into his truck, locked the doors, and said a quick prayer. When he shared the footage online, people had mixed reactions. Some said he should have gone out to check. What if someone really needed help? But others thought he did the right thing because the muffled quality of the voice sounded exactly like something a skinwalker would do to lure him into the woods. And honestly, if you're alone in the dark and hear something like that, would you go investigate? Sometimes it's good to stay ignorant about certain things. Take a look at what this man had to say during a live broadcast interview on TV.
Go to madeinchina.com and in the search engine, type snake venom peptides. You're going to see over 1,000 manufacturers around the world who make lyophilized white fine powder of snake venom to add to cosmetics that you put on your face and on your body. You'll see thousands of them, but they sell them as the powder to be added to whatever you're manufacturing.
Wait, what? Snake venom, actual poisonous snake venom, is being turned into powder and added to cosmetics? These are products we apply directly to our skin and faces. How did this slip past us? Or did it? In paranormal and conspiracy circles, there's a concept known as predictive programming. The idea that powerful elites subtly reveal their actions through media before they happen in real life. Hollywood, in particular, has long been accused of this practice, with some believing it's part of a larger hidden agenda. Think back to one of the Batman movies, where there was a plot about poison cosmetics making people sick. Now consider what's being said here. Is there really much of a difference? Are they showing us the truth in plain sight, knowing we'll dismiss it as fiction? Or is this just another wild theory? What do you think?
They are the largest manufacturer in the world of snake venom peptides, and they now have nano-carrier technology to wrap around their snake venom peptides that allow them to deliver venom through water delivery systems. Their words, not mine. You can just put drops of it into your water and just drink it. How do you know they can't do that in your water delivery systems?
Dares can be thrilling and fun, but they can also come with unexpected risks. Have you ever heard the story of Sam Ballard? Sam was a young, adventurous boy who was dared by his friends to swallow a slug. It seemed like a harmless prank at the time, and Sam, being a good sport, went along with it. But what happened next was far from a joke. The slug he swallowed was carrying a parasitic worm called Angiostrangulus cantonensis, which can cause a rare but serious infection known as rat lungworm disease. Unfortunately, Sam contracted this infection, which led to severe complications. He fell into a coma, and when he eventually woke up, he was left paralyzed and in need of constant care. So the next time you dare to do something, remember Sam Ballard's story and consider whether it's really worth the risk. This next footage is hands down one of the strangest orb sightings I've come across, if it is indeed real. In the video, you can see a chopper flying steadily in the sky, seemingly on a routine flight. Then out of nowhere, an orb appears, gliding smoothly from the right side of the frame. What happens next is unbelievable. The orb moves closer to the helicopter, and in a matter of seconds, it engulfs the entire craft. The helicopter vanishes without a trace, as if it was swallowed whole by this mysterious orb. And just like that, the orb continues to float away, carrying the helicopter within it, as though nothing has happened. This footage leaves you questioning what exactly we're dealing with here. Could this be some advanced technology, extraterrestrial in origin, or perhaps a sophisticated illusion? Or is there another explanation entirely? This woman was sharing a moment with her daughter, talking about her grandmother who'd passed away years before the little girl was born. They were just sitting, talking, when all of a sudden the little girl looked at her and said, "Grandma is here." And she says, "Hi, Jamila." The woman froze. You can see the shock on her face before she quickly ends the video, and here's why that moment was so chilling. The only person who ever called her Jamila was her grandmother. No one else used that name. And her grandmother had passed away long before the little girl was even born, so how did she know? Some people believe children can sense things we can't. They're more open to spiritual energies or visitations. Maybe, just maybe, this was one of those moments. The woman had been talking about her mother, and somehow her daughter picked up on something that felt beyond explanation. Of course, some would say kids have wild imaginations, but in this case, it felt too specific. So what do you think? Did this little girl have a moment of true spiritual connection, or can children just see things the rest of us no longer can?
Where's my grandma? Where is she?
I've been having. How old was she?
93. Sometimes if you get really, really old, then you go home to God.
Mommy, your grandma's here. And she says, "Hi, Jamila."
There's a very strange trend going on, and it's all centered around something that seems innocent: the Lubaboo dolls. These are small, cute, and very expensive collectible dolls. They've been going viral across social media, with people showing off their collections and customizing them. But not all the attention has been positive. Recently, some people have started claiming that these dolls might be haunted. In fact, a few of them even compared Lubaboo to the modern-day Pazuzu, a demonic entity. Now, that might sound like an exaggeration, but a few personal experiences have left people uneasy. One mother shared a chilling story online. Her daughter came running into her home, terrified. She said her Lubaboo doll's black eyes had suddenly turned green. The doll hadn't been altered, and the change happened all on its own. The little girl was so scared that she decided to burn the doll. Some say it's just the power of suggestion. People are reading too much into a viral trend and letting their imaginations take over. But others insist that strange things keep happening around these dolls, things that can't be easily explained. So is this just internet hysteria, or is there something darker behind the Lubaboo craze?
What happened?
His eye just turned green.
What do you mean they turned green?
Oh, hell nah.
Don't throw it to me! What happened?
It just turned green, and I was cleaning my room.
What do you mean it turned green?
It's his eye.
His eye?
Yeah.
I know it's been a couple of days, but here's a bonus footage for you. For those new to our channel, it's a chance to show us how sharp you are. What do you think you're looking at? Instead of hearing it from me, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Both conspiracies and scientific theories are allowed. Let's make this fun. This video was captured on a trail camera set up by a hunter who was hoping to record the local wildlife in the area. But what he ended up capturing left him utterly shocked. Take a look. In the footage, you can see a massive, dark figure standing about 7 feet tall in the middle of the woods. This creature isn't just passing by, it's clearly agitated. It begins throwing logs and pushing branches around with force as if it's angry or upset about something. The creature continues its tantrum for a while before finally retreating back into the depths of the forest. Now, we all know this isn't a bear or an ape. The size, the behavior, it all points to one being, the legendary Bigfoot. But what could have made it so angry? What could have triggered this outburst? It's rare to catch a glimpse of Bigfoot, let alone see it in such a state. This footage raises more questions than answers. Could something have disturbed its territory, or was it reacting to the presence of the trail camera itself? This video was shared by someone who was in a church when this happened. A woman was preaching when a young lady suddenly screamed and started to move about in her seat. Some men came to hold her and help her when the woman was speaking. Watch what happens next.
Out of her mouth now and allow her to speak. Hun, do you want to renounce more? Renounce familiar spirits? I renounce all divination, all the gifts that they gave me, the ability that they gave me. I renounce all of them. I renounce idolatry. I renounce lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, adultery. I renounce disease spirits. I renounce all the fallen that I Thank you, Jesus. I detach her from all of that now.
She asks the lady what she's supposed to renounce, and she starts to tense up as she responds. In the end, she begins to move and act like a snake with her tongue sticking out. In some religious settings, this can be considered either an exorcism or deliverance. However, not everyone seems to believe it. Some skeptics argue that these things are sometimes scripted just to deceive people and get them to come to their churches or religious gatherings. Conversely, those who believe hold on to the idea that this is an actual act of divine intervention. Would you consider this real? Also, is this confirmation that demons are out there and making people do things they might not necessarily want to do?
Flesh, adultery. I renounce disease spirits. I renounce all the fallen that I Thank you, Jesus. I detach her from all of that now.
A man woke up in the morning just like any other day, but then he noticed something strange. There were tiny bugs all over the snow. Take a look at them. Tiny, jumping insects scattered across the surface. Now, there are actually real bugs known as snow fleas, which thrive in cold temperatures and jump around just like fleas. So this could be a completely natural occurrence. Just that, well, if it was, wouldn't someone who lived in such an area know about it? This has got people talking, something the government might be behind it. They have seen it in history and think it might just be a repeat. Back in the 1960s, there was a covert operation known as Operation Mongoose. It was a CIA plot to sabotage Cuba. One of the tactics was releasing infected ticks into sugarcane plantations to spread disease. Now, seeing all these tiny bugs in the snow has got people wondering if this could just be nature doing its thing, or if the government is up to its sinister tricks again. Look at it and share your thoughts.
It's actually these little bugs, and they're moving around. Like really, really small, microscopic bugs.
What you were looking at is said to be the power source of UFOs, a nuclear battery known as the Paul Bronze radioactive battery. This mysterious device has sparked numerous theories, with some claiming it's the key to understanding how extraterrestrial crafts operate. The battery is believed to harness a form of radioactive energy far more advanced than anything currently known to humanity. It's said to have the ability to generate immense power, possibly enough to fuel the complex and otherworldly technologies attributed to UFOs. The Paul Bronze radioactive battery has become a focal point in discussions about extraterrestrial technology and the potential for human discovery. Could this be a glimpse into the advanced energy systems of alien civilizations, or is it simply a misunderstood piece of technology from our world, shrouded in secrecy and speculation? This footage is absolutely mind-boggling. Captured by a security camera outside a station in India, it shows something you'd only expect to see in a movie. At first glance, everything seems normal. People minding their own business, motorcyclists parked, and the usual hustle and bustle of a busy junction. But then out of nowhere, a motorcycle glides into view. What makes this so bizarre is that there's no rider on the bike. It just rolls on its own, navigating as if it had a mind of its own. The way it maneuvers, taking a smooth, calculated curve into the station without bumping into anything, is beyond eerie. The witnesses who saw it were understandably shocked. This isn't something you see every day, if ever. It's almost like the motorcycle was being controlled by some invisible force. But what could it be? This video was shared from New Jersey. A passerby spotted something strange on the curb in front of someone's house. It looks like the curb is burning, but not in a normal way. It's more like the ground itself is melting. Flames flicker along the edge, and you can see some kind of lava-like liquid bubbling and oozing from the surface. What makes this even stranger is that no one was around. No firefighters, no smoke coming from a nearby grill or trash can, just the fire and this glowing, bubbling patch on the ground. There's even a ladder lying near the flames, but no explanation for why it's there or who left it. So what's going on here? Is this some kind of underground gas leak causing the pavement to ignite? Is it a chemical spill? Some people are joking that it looks like the beginning of a volcanic eruption. So what do you think is happening here? We've seen a lot of UFO footage over the years, but take a look at this one and tell me what you think.
This is Houston. Say again, 7. I have a bogey at 10 o'clock time.
We have an unidentified flying object.
All advised that appears to be tumbling. It just seems to be tagging along with us.
This video was reportedly taken by astronauts aboard a space shuttle mission, and what it shows is both fascinating and mysterious. While the shuttle was in orbit, they noticed these round objects moving just below the spacecraft. They appeared to be metallic spheres glinting in the light, calmly following the shuttle but staying far enough away not to make contact. The objects didn't move erratically, they didn't speed off into space, they simply trailed the shuttle, matching its speed. But what's strange is that these weren't space debris. They were too perfectly shaped and too coordinated in their motion. When you watch the footage, it feels different from the typical shaky clips we often see. This one is clear, steady, and honestly pretty convincing. It just doesn't seem like a hoax. Some people are already calling this one of the most believable space UFO sightings ever caught on camera. Some say it could be space junk or particles, but others think this was a genuine encounter with a UFO. So what do you think?
Lots clear. 7, go ahead.
I'll tell you at 10 o'clock time.
This is Houston. Say again, 7. I have a bogey at 3 o'clock time.
We have an unidentified flying object.
I'll advise that appears to be coupling. It just seems to be tagging along with us.
I know we all hate blurry clips, but trust me when I say you'll want to see this one. What you're seeing on your screen was apparently captured 2 or 3 years ago somewhere in Mexico. Now, the one who captured the clip didn't know what exactly he was looking at, but it just looked too odd to not film. Once this was uploaded online, many different individuals saw different things. Some thought it was a man in a parachute making a landing on the Earth. They argued the other parts of the parachute were not visible due to poor quality of the clip and the grainy outlook. Others thought it was definitely a UFO landing somewhere remote and away from prying eyes, maybe so it could have a base and go out to scout the planet. The theories are many and nearly endless. Some, however, doubt if the clip is authentic. They think it might have been digitally created. I'm tempted to doubt it because it has that old clip feel, but then again, I'm no expert. What do you guys think is going on here? Share your thoughts in the comments section. There's no shortage of shocking footage online. Some of it feels very real, while others are just clearly fake. Let's take a look at this one. The owner of this footage claimed to have spotted a tree in the woods moving on its own. At first glance, it might seem eerie, a tree shifting and swaying with no wind, almost as if it's alive. But come on, guys, let's take a closer look. You can clearly see ropes tied to the tree, likely being pulled off camera to create the illusion of movement. It's a clever attempt, but it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. I think we've all seen better hoaxes than this, don't you? A man who had been caring for his elderly grandmother began to feel like something wasn't quite right. She'd been acting strangely and certain things around the house just didn't add up, so to ease his mind, he decided to install a camera in her room. The footage starts out normal. You can see him gently carrying her to bed and tucking her in. He turns off the light and leaves the room, but that's when things take a disturbing turn. Not long after he's gone, the grandmother sits up in bed. Then she climbs out and stands perfectly straight in the dark. She slowly turns around, and seconds later, a picture falls from the wall, and she bolts towards the corner of the room. The grandson re-enters, possibly after hearing the noise, and he picks up the fallen picture and puts it back without noticing anything out of the ordinary. He then walks right out again. What the camera captures next is chilling. The grandmother is now standing completely still by the doorway. Then, without warning, she runs straight toward the camera and presses her face right against it. Next, the camera on the floor likely knocked over, and for the rest of the footage, she can be seen wandering aimlessly around the room. At one point, she looks directly into the lens, and then the footage cuts off. The grandson later revealed that he had no idea this had happened until he watched the recording. He said she never mentioned anything about that night. So, what is really going on here? Was she sleepwalking? Was she possessed? Or was something else at work? When you're celebrating your birthday, you'd expect to blow out the candles on your cake, right? Well, something strange happened during this celebration. The lady was handed a birthday cake. She leaned in, ready to blow out the candles like anyone would. But when she did, nothing happened. The flames stayed lit, almost like they were resisting. Then, just a moment later, all the candles suddenly went out on their own. No one touched them. They just blew out by themselves. Everyone in the room looked confused, and you can see the woman's face change as she tries to make sense of what just happened. Some people are saying maybe a ghost or some kind of unseen presence was there with her because, well, let's be honest, that's not something you see every day. So what do you think happened here?
Happy birthday to you. I said happy birthday, Blondie. Oh, how did you do that? What did you do?
That was weird. That wasn't
Did
me.
you do it?
That wasn't me.
That was strange, wasn't it? What happened?
That was weird.
One American woman curious about these traditions traveled to Romania to meet practicing witches. When she arrived, this is what she witnessed. Inside a dimly lit room, strange objects were tied up and placed in a basket. Then, a thick, odd-looking goo was poured over them. The candle was set in the center, and suddenly the witches began chanting, ringing a bell, and reciting words she couldn't understand. It was a ritual. The woman, caught off guard by the intensity of the moment, had no idea what was happening. She was stunned, yet uploaded the clip online. Once the clip made its way online, people had lots to say and a lot of questions as well. The most prominent being, were they actual witches? They expected magic and what have you, and I can't fault them for that. While witches are often portrayed as mystical or even sinister figures, have you ever stopped to think about what they really are? If you break it down, many of their so-called potions are made from herbs, much like early forms of medicine. In a way, witches could be seen as natural chemists, practitioners of ancient science, rather than wielders of supernatural forces. So is there more to witchcraft than the myths suggest, or is the appropriate question rather, what are the forms of witchcraft are there out there?
Binecuvântare. Binecuvântarea. Amin. With the power of the fire. Ritualurilor. Amin. With our powers. With the rituals. May the power of the rituals to stick to you and to remain in your life. Amin.
Domino, what is that? What the hell is that? Hey!
A man was at home when he noticed his dog wasn't inside. It was pretty late at night, so he went out to find his dog, and this is what he saw. The dog was just sitting there in the yard facing the darkness. This was not normal. Something was off. He called out to the dog and it didn't respond. He decided to record the interaction. He wouldn't look at it until sometime later, and when he did, he noticed something rather strange. In the video, there was a tall humanoid figure walking into the darkness. He also mentions that you can see the silhouette of the entity retreating into the woods from his home. I have looked several times, but haven't had as much luck discerning this clip as the others who have seen it. Some even stated that when they enhanced the clip, they saw a tall creature with a skeleton-like face. Others report it had a mist-like appearance. The theories are many, but the truth can only be one. We didn't enhance it here, but you guys take a good look and tell me what you see.
Domino, what is that? What the hell is that? Hey!
This man isn't a camper in Russia, and he recently shared a chilling camping experience that has the internet talking. While resting in his tent one night, he began hearing footsteps outside. At first he thought it was a person, so he called out, but no one responded. When he stepped out to check, he noticed that his dog, who had been tied near the tent, was gone. He spotted it running off into the woods as if it were chasing something, so he packed up and searched the forest all night. But by sunrise, he still hadn't found the dog. What he did find, though, was disturbing. He came across a small site deep in the woods. There were wooden traps scattered on the ground, and a pile of warm coals. Someone had been there recently, but whoever it was, they were gone. That night, he decided to stay in the area again, hoping his dog would return, but things only got worse. As he was preparing to set up camp near a tree, he suddenly heard a strange thumping sound like a deep drumbeat coming from somewhere in the forest. Then out of nowhere, an arrow shot through the air and embedded itself into the tree right above his head. In panic, he dove behind the tree for cover, but more arrows followed. Luckily, none of them hit him. He managed to survive the night, and at dawn he finally found his dog, and without wasting any time, he packed up and left the forest for good. Now, this footage has sparked serious speculation. Some people believe it may have been a group of wild people, maybe cavemen, living deep in the forest and attacking him for trespassing. Others, however, think it's all staged. They point out the arrows look like the kind used in archery competitions, not primitive weapons. But even these skeptics admitted that whoever fired these arrows had incredible aim. The arrows landed deep into the tree with real accuracy. So, is this all an elaborate hoax?
Кто здесь?
In Brazil, a street security camera captured something that's leaving people stunned. The footage is hazy, but you can make out a tall creature standing about 8 to 9 feet high. Its legs are shaped like hind legs, bent backward in an animal-like way. And if you look closely, it appears to have a tail. But here's the part that really stands out. Its head looks like it has a snout, almost like a dog's. And it was caught walking down the street in the middle of the night while everyone in the neighborhood was fast asleep. Just look at that thing. Some are saying it could be a werewolf or a skinwalker. Some believe it's just a hoax, maybe a person in a costume or an edited image. But what do you think?
It's fine. No one in here at the moment. Hold on. The police. Got it. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Hey. Show me. Stay where you are. Show your hands. You here? Jenny?
Yep.
Jenny? Oh.
In October 2024, police arrested a woman named Virginia McCulloch, but it wasn't just for any crime. What they uncovered was something straight out of a horror movie. Virginia had murdered her parents in cold blood. She spiked her father's drink with a lethal dose of sleeping pills, leaving him to die, and then brutally stabbed her mother to death. But that's not even the most disturbing part. For 4 years, she lived in the same house with their corpses. She built a makeshift coffin, stuffed her mother's body inside a wardrobe, and surrounded her father's remains with cinder blocks. And while their bodies decayed in secret, she carried on as if nothing had happened. But why? What could drive someone to commit such a monstrous act and then live with the evidence? Authorities later discovered that she had drained her parents' finances, spending every last penny. But here's the real mystery. How did she fool everyone around her? How did no one suspect a thing for 4 whole years? She's now serving a life sentence with a minimum of 36 years, but even with her behind bars, one question lingers. How did she get away for it for so long? And why didn't she just move or run away with the funds if that's what she wanted? Something just doesn't add up.
I slipped 5 of those into his drink. There were about 2 or 3 drinks that I brought downstairs. Yeah, they were basically, he didn't drink all of them. He only drank probably about half of 2. But yeah, when I went in the morning, this was before my mother. When I went in the morning, early hours, I got up about half an hour early, about 6 o'clock in the morning. Came in and he was gone.
This footage comes from Australia's Port Noarlunga jetty, where a group of friends were enjoying a day out. Some stood on the bridge watching the water, while one, holding a camera, decided to jump in for a swim. As he resurfaced, his friends started shouting frantically, sensing something was wrong. He quickly dove underwater with the camera, and that's when he saw it. A massive shark was swimming straight toward him. It got dangerously close, but then at the last moment it veered away. Wasting no time, he scrambled out of the water, racing up the stairs to safety. The footage is terrifying to watch, but here's the twist. It wasn't real. It was actually a well-edited project by some film students. At least that's what a commenter from the original video said. Port Noarlunga has, however, seen a real shark attack. In 2023, a great white shark attacked a woman, biting her face. She was rushed to hospital, and thankfully she survived without life-threatening injuries. After the attack, the area was evacuated, but the shark was never seen again. So if you ever find yourself at Port Noarlunga Jetty, just stay alert. That shark could come back to finish what it started.
No, I'm going to the stairs.
You need to get to the steps. Just start swimming to the steps.
What?
Get to the steps. Start swimming there.
What is it?
Just get to the steps.
If grey aliens are real, then fairies shouldn't be that far-fetched. A resident in Newport, Wales, shared a photograph that's now getting a lot of attention. At first, it might look like nothing more than bright, shiny lights rushing across the yard, but look a little closer, and it gets strange. The photo shows 4 small, glowing figures darting just above the grass. Each one appears to have long, thin wings, and most oddly, when you zoom in, you can just about make out what looks like a tiny humanoid form attached to those wings. The person who took the image says they were convinced they saw fairies, or at least something fairy-like. They said the creatures were flying fast, almost too fast for the camera to catch clearly, but what little they managed to capture was enough to raise questions. It's easy to dismiss this kind of thing, but let's be honest, who wouldn't want to discover fairies in their own backyard? This video was shared online by a farmer, and it's one of the creepiest things to come out of a chicken coop. The farmer heard strange noises coming from the hen house late at night, so he decided to go check the security footage to see what was going on. What he found left him speechless. The footage shows an 8-foot-tall humanoid figure walking through the chicken coop. Its back is turned to the camera as it moves slowly through the area. This is a Bigfoot. In one of its massive hands, it appears to be holding a hen. Another hen walks calmly just ahead of it. The chickens don't seem disturbed by its presence at all. And that's suspicious. Anyone who raises chickens knows they're extremely sensitive. Loud noises, sudden movements, or unfamiliar shapes usually send them into a frenzy. But in this video, they're calm. Too calm. Watch closely and you'll see its shadow stretch across the coop. It moves naturally, matching its steps in a way that makes it hard to dismiss it as a hoax or AI-generated. So do you think an actual Bigfoot in a coop, or is this AI? A family came home to find that the tiles in their dining area were completely wrecked. They then decided to check the security footage, and this is what they saw. Out of nowhere, something started moving beneath the tiles. As you can see, the tiles swell and break as this thing moves. But it doesn't appear to all the tiles, just a few of them. There's no visible proof of what's causing this. Some people said it could have been an earthquake, but it's highly unlikely for it to happen that way. Paranormal fans, however, believe this is some sort of entity, a very violent one like a poltergeist haunting the house. There's also the possibility of the tiles not being fixed properly in the first place, but if that were the situation, the owner should have seen signs, right? Either way, what do you make of the whole situation? How much do you like hot dogs? If it's a lot and you don't feel like stopping, you might want to skip this one. If you still want to know, then let me be upfront with you. You might want to rethink that because a recent study has shown that hot dogs contain 20% more human DNA. Yes, human DNA. And that even includes the vegan ones. For my vegan friends, I hate to break it to you, but the study also found that a significant number of vegan products contain traces of meat. Yep. Actual meat, and this isn't limited to hot dogs, it cuts across many other vegan products. But the real question is, how did human DNA end up in hot dogs in the first place? Just how does something like this happen? Is there a serious contamination issue in food production, or is there something else going on behind the scenes that we're not being told? I will let you guys decide on that. There's also the possibility that these facts aren't true, so I'll leave that up to you. Now here's something that will make you look at the hull of a boat very differently. A fisherman had to scrape barnacles off his vessel because the buildup had become heavy enough to affect performance. Routine maintenance, nothing unusual. What is unusual is what those barnacles are worth. Gooseneck barnacles, also known as percebes, are considered a delicacy in parts of Europe, especially Spain and Portugal. They grow in dense clusters on rocks and boat hulls in rough, wave-battered coastal waters, and harvesting them is one of the most dangerous jobs in the food industry due to the conditions they grow in. That rarity, combined with demand, pushes their price extremely high. In some markets, they can sell for over $100 per kilogram, which means what looks like marine buildup on a boat hull can actually be high-value seafood. In this case, the fisherman is scraping off what could amount to thousands of dollars worth of product simply because his boat needs to function. It creates a strange reality. One of the most expensive foods in fine dining growing freely on boats, docks, and rocky shorelines, largely unnoticed by the people who pass by it every day. Nature keeps producing value in places we don't think to look. With that, we come to the end of this particular chapter of Classified Captures, or CC, as I call it for short. That's the new thing now, CC. Hey, yo, welcome to CC. Anyway, do me a favor, guys. If you got any videos, you got any pictures, you got any stories that you can give us, please tell them to us. classifiedcaptures@gmail.com is the email. And we will post it on one episode, and we might even name you if, of course, that's what you want. So do that for us because we need your content. I've been Steve. This has been Classified Captures. Now do me a favor and share this with everybody that you love. And I'll see you in the next one.